Hello, Kiwa. Like a gentleman, not before I enter like a gentleman. Oh. Thank you for sound check. This is the song that I was just listening before the stream. I have this tradition that before the streams I have whole thank you, Q. So I have this whole playlist of songs that deliver different moods for my streams, depending on what I need to enhance in my vibe. Let's say I just go for it. So, and tonight I feel a little bit like so pleasantly tired and so blissful right now. Oh, it's amazing. So this song was just, and today's topic was also so in tune with it. Let's just go for it. Yes. So, so languages of love is what we're going to discuss today. Hence the musical introduction and the story. Yesterday, actually performed the practice before bed. I've been actually on the kick with you guys with workshops. I've been on the kick of trying new different things, developing new different things, and bringing the theoretical things that we do in the streams, bringing them into actual practices. Oh my God, what a wonderful thing I did yesterday. Remember the previous stream we were designing practices? And I did this visual thing with alignment to my path because there was a lot of like interferences on my way because there's this bureaucratic thing, then there is this personal interaction, that personal interaction, and I was just clearing that thing, and it ended up turning into combination of my work with the path meditation. So it was path, then beautiful garden. Remember we talked about this beautiful garden of relationship. I built a beautiful garden. Then I also potentiated it with this divine union pulsating somewhere. And overall, it turned into this mega magical space. This is my like total alignment picture, which comprises my path and everything of value, the emotional and sensory compass that I hold with this potentiated pulsating thing. So, oh my God, what a beautiful discovery, what a beautiful design, I should say. We should do something like that. But first, in the workshop that's on Saturday, we'll be covering Shiva and Shakti, which is divine union concept thing, through which we can access all of those practices. But we'll need to individually build the image of what it constitutes, this pulse of ecstasy, pulse of love, pulse of pleasure, and so on. So today we're going to preface kind of our partially will preface our workshop on Saturday by covering languages of love. Thank you so much, Skirling Scribe. So Hippocrates, congratulations on joining today's stream, I guess, in this wonderful format. The design practice sounds very fun, yes? And yesterday was just a bliss for me, and now we got a relatable topic. That's so cool. So, languages of love. There are 4 languages of love that we can identify. We have verbal language of love, like information that we speak, that we convey to people. Then, visual, nonverbal. Nonverbal cues are included there, our body language, so how we present ourselves without words. So everything that our body projects into the world. This will be visual or nonverbal signaling version of language of love. Because you can be like this, you can be like this, you can be like this, you can be in many, many different forms, projecting your feelings, projecting your emotions to people, and they will be reciprocated in a certain way. That's how people understand communication. This is how we understand that we've transmitted something, some energy, some idea, some feeling. That's how we understand that we are in a certain relationship with a person. So if we're standing like this, we are in a relationship of don't touch me. If we're standing like this, we are inviting person to be more of themselves, more relaxed, more playful perhaps. So depending on this aspect, or rather aspect is actually foundational communicational tool for us, the nonverbal, physical. Then, attention, thoughts are also a form of language of love. How I think about you, how um, how you exist in my mental space, my dear friend. Thank you, guys. How you, in what capacity, what emotions I experience about you, what image I create of you. When I think about you, what I give to you. This is what this um, language of love partially constitutes, but also attention. How much I try to contribute to the environment such that you understand that you're being loved. Because I can just, for example, forget about your birthday. I can forget your favorite food. I can forget your favorite habit. I can just not pay attention to things that are of high importance to you. I can forget about your beautiful puppy, dismiss that you have a puppy. I can dismiss your collection of little elephant figurines that you collect from all over the world. And I can just say, sorry, I forgot to buy you a little elephant when I went to, I don't know, when I went to Japan and I went to some exotic shop. I actually saw very cool elephants there, but you know, I didn't get them. So this will be examples of not love, and in turn, remembering, paying attention to what person loves, what person appreciates, what's important for them, what will give them joy, what will give them pleasure, what will give them understanding. That's something perhaps naive, something impractical, something that is not of particular use, is recognized for its sentimental value, and more functional things as well. When you recognize and pay attention to them, this is how you can communicate your love through attention. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning, thoughts, how you think about the person. Because how you think about the person builds the baseline for how you project your relationship to them. Because you cannot be thinking about the person that's such a nasty person, such a loser, such a nuisance, irritates me so much, picking on different like drawbacks all the time, dissecting this person, like preparing this person behind their back or inside of your head, and then give away this happy puppy reaction to them when you see them. It's just not gonna happen. So what happens in thoughts, in this practical outside of metaphysical value, will be just the manifestation, will be just the baseline of how you're going to communicate everything else to them. So thinking good things about the person is a very powerful tool as well, that precedes other languages of love. And also it can be a very beautiful discipline. It can be a beautiful discipline of blessing a person in your thoughts. Perhaps there is some metaphysical layer to that. To give good thought about the person, to speak a good thing, speak a good word about the person without them. It also holds very important value and potential. So attention and thoughts. And then physical language of love. Physical language of love when we research how we can pamper each other's bodies, how we can give each other this atmosphere of safety, bliss, ecstasy, enjoyment, comfort, that our body understands that it's being loved. And of course, talking here about the interpersonal relationships when there are two and more people involved. But all of these things, they apply to ourselves as well. How we communicate love to ourselves. Remember, we were talking about loving oneself, that we always bring it to respect oneself. But here's where we focus specifically on love, on the practical implication, practical representation of love, exercising love. And it's very important to develop love literacy, literacy in the languages of love. Michael Brogans, thank you so much. Thank you, James Miller. Kiyoshka, thank you. So, we're going to talk about love literacy today. Why it is important. Everybody is building culture. Everybody is building culture, relationships with myself, relationships with others. And then the more leadership we embark on, the more influence we can have in the world. The bigger domain of life we control, and the bigger amount of feedback we're going to be receiving. So basically, we're talking through learning literacy in the languages of love, we're going to be learning to build this wonderful garden, this beautiful garden of love, where we can invite people such that our communication with ourselves and with others starts happening in the beautiful garden of love. A good example here, I was just thinking about it. People talk about, for example, they see some person whose behavior they don't like. They will call that person an asshole. Without thinking that by linking some body part and discontent with somebody's behavior, they're literally adding some negative connotation to, first of all, they're judging the person in general, not allowing the domain of love to happen there. It creates this double-edged sword that on the one hand they're dismissing the whole person for their behavior, and on the other hand they are linking some body part with something absolutely negative. And if you think about it, that human sexuality in general in the West especially, I don't know how it happens in other countries, but in Western tradition there's so many obscene offensive words that come from the names of the body parts. And we expect good, healthy sexuality. How? When everything in your body that is responsible for peak pleasure, you usually use to call some negative people's behaviors. How can we have love, respect to our sexuality, to our body, to ourselves, to our intimate parts, when on the verbal level, in the casual speech, we have a bunch of obscene terms that are linked specifically to the idea of our pleasure-bearing body parts? It's impossible. It's impossible to have healthy relationships with the body. It's impossible to claim wholeness. It's impossible to create healthy, pleasureful, loving context when we have this split, that we're dealing with something inherently obscene, dirty, bad, to the extent that we're constantly linking the names of these body parts with some bad, undesirable behaviors, with frustration, with something that doesn't belong, that shouldn't belong to our daily life, something that gives us very strong discontent. We cannot integrate all parts of our sexuality, of our physicality, if we have this conflict going on, if we have this relationship with it going on. So verbal channel is one of the, has very prominent examples. especially in the how we treat self and how self is treated in the pop culture. But verbal information constitutes only 20% of information we receive in communication. Is it correct? No. Percent. I'm writing backwards, so I need to figure it out. So probably like this, right? No, like this. I think it's like this. Backwards. Right. Now it's right. Most of the information about people, about treatment of people, about their intentions we receive from nonverbal communication. But verbal also refers to the speech clues that I just described. What words we choose to communicate our feelings and what codes are encrypted in those words. What links we build subliminally through the words. So it's very important to even when you are talking about matters that are not necessarily related to exchange of love, to still maximize the level of not culture, because culture is associated with self-restraint, but try experimenting with awareness, the word choices, and what keywords you are speaking into yourself when you're describing even some mundane things. Sometimes people themselves. That's what I call scaring blessings away. Scaring blessings away is when your speech is infused with the words of complaint, with the words of very negative, strong words. These words, if you analyze how they feel, they build the wall between you and love that you can receive from the world. Or let's word as blessings that you can receive from the world. As opposed to when you learn to infuse your language with words that invite more of the love, more of the blessings, more comfort, more softness, more energy, more beauty. It truly works. And when you go into interpersonal relationships, you also will see a major difference in how you can design the keys to access the doors, to access the domains that were perhaps not accessible before when you were using some automatic spells in your speech. Then, nonverbal visual language. It's the rule of communication, 80-20, verbal, nonverbal. So, non-verbal signs. This is where it will be very handy if you record yourself. You prepare a topic that you're really passionate about. You place the camera, you can use daylight, sit in front of the window, camera in front of you, and record yourself talking about something that you're really interested in. And make sure to speak for like 10, 15, 20 minutes to really see what your body tries to communicate. Because we cannot always control our body. We cannot always assess, okay, how do I sit, what I project and why, where I see tension, where I see defenses, where I see my muscles, the facial muscles changing. We can track that when we're communicating. But in a passionate monologue, it will be so visible. It will be so visible, especially if you imagine. You can also do this trick with, imagine talking to your mom, imagine talking to your loved one, imagine talking to your pet, imagine that you are in the interview and somebody is interviewing you. Imagine you are giving speech and on stage. What are you going to project? This will be a very fun diagnostic tool to witness what happens to your body when you're not controlling it. Because there are things that are outside of our consciousness that are tied to deep seated trauma, that are tied to defenses that we have, imbalances, that clearly represent our up to date relationships with the world. So when you look at yourself on the video, it's not that you're going to pursue some vanity goals. It is that you are going to see what happens behind any mask, what happens behind your intention. And when you see that there is lack of coherence between how you imagine yourself and who you are, how you appear to other people, when you witness this, it will be very easy to build a bridge between the two and reunite them. Because you will see which words, which topics, which type of speech triggers which emotions. And another handy outcome of this practice of filming yourself will be that you will get also the verbal spells that infest your speech. What are the dominant words? Then also you will see where humorous defenses begin, where you become humorous, where do you become sarcastic, where you become maybe more pensive, where you switch to more childish voice, where you switch to some high notes, where your voice changes pitch. At what point your posture collapses? At which point and at which topics you start hyperventilating? When do you decide to hide? All of those things will be very vividly seen when you record yourself. That's how you can assess your nonverbal communication style. Who you are beneath the surface. What shines despite your controls and desire to appear in a certain way. 20 minutes. Interesting topic or sequence of topics or an interview. Pretend that somebody's interviewing you and asking questions, exactly the questions, coincidentally, that you would like to elaborate on. But when we analyze this nonverbal communication, when we talk about it, when we can start pursuing authenticity. Because we probably have an idea of ourselves, what I want to project to the world. A lot of people, especially with strong narcissistic part, will have this idea that I'm so infused with love. I want to change this world for better. I want to radiate comfort. I want to radiate peace. I want to bring joy to the world. And then when they look at the video, when they look at themselves, for what they actually project, there could be a moment at which we see there's kind of slight depression going on. Or there are blockages going on. Or I don't see the authentic self in it. Or I see some constricted body. I see a lot of tension. Or I see some age inadequacy or something. There could be so many interesting revelations that will show that what exists in your body right now, and that your body radiates, so it overflows your body, doesn't correspond with your vision of self. And then when we talk about this language of love, perhaps let's bring it to the theme of relationships. Your body language, does it communicate love? Does it really? When you you can conduct this experiment, you're on your own, and then let's say your partner or some person that you like to be close with, or your friend, comes in your space. What changes to your body language? Do you close yourself from them? Do you look at them like this? Does your jaw clench? Do your lips flex? Do you make fists? Do you shrink? Do you open? Do you increase yourself in space? Do you start compulsively touching something? Biting nails, maybe? Biting lips? Think about that. Very useful exercise. And then think of why is it happening? Why is that happening? That there is not 100% comfort in this space. We seemingly should have unrestricted flow of love and energy between us. Why? I don't know. Why everything sinks? Why everything shrinks? What's happening? You want to be with the person, but you build a wall? You build some muscle shell? Some exoskeleton to protect yourself from the experience? And that also spans to the world. When we talk about language of love, exchanges, it's a big exchange with the world. Big exchange of love. In fact, perhaps we can speculate that everyone is trading love in the world, in the human world. We trade love if we think about this grand term love, if we think about it poetically, philosophically, because even through aggression, humans try to default and find love. They are demanding it in this aggressive way. But in the end of the day, everyone wants to feel this very primordial feeling of relief, acceptance, and safety in somebody's embrace. I think. Maybe it's a loud general statement, but still. I think most of the interactions can boil down to the pursuit of love and the exchange of love as currency. People use different tools for that, but whichever skill exists in a given human. So these are general languages of love, general languages of exchange between people. And then attention and thoughts. Attention and thoughts is an interesting one. They relate more to us building and refining our beautiful garden of love, I think. Because they give this sense of specialty, they give this sense of celebration, perhaps, of relationship. With thoughts, of course, also paving the path for this refined, beautiful exchange between people. But attention to detail, acknowledging something that the whole world doesn't grasp in your loved one, is a very beautiful touch. That those beautiful sparkly flowers that we plant in our wonderful garden. So this is a very pleasant and very important facet of it. And then physical touch, of course. How often it happens that people learn some scenarios of how physical touch should be implemented. And then it's also a plaque, I think, of people who've gone through many partners, and they think that they're working on refining some skill. Instead of refining the skill of treating their partner as a human, instead of refining the skill of being attentive to detail, instead of refining the skill of allowing space for another human, studying them, developing this unique space and language, people with more sporty attitude to relationships or mating, they would develop a skill of refining their tricks in how you can pet here, spank here, whisper here, say that, and how to, I don't know, do some manipulation techniques to secure relationship, and how to, I don't know, how to strike here, strike there, which pose to use, and which brand of certain accessories and such to choose. So, two different skills are being practiced. And that may lead to this unfortunate thing that a person feels like they're pro at the intimacy, pro at handling somebody's body, but in reality they're 100% not pro, and moreover they're, because of their pro stats in their mind, they're unwilling to learn, inquire, and practice what the person that they're with is actually looking forward to. They're not willing to address the needs of that specific body, or welcome the needs, at least. Welcome the needs of that specific body. Another trap there is performative intimacy, of course. When intimacy becomes a goal it has some goal in mind. It needs to be achieved as fast and as efficiently as possible. And the goal being a destination, not a process, not an ongoing game, not a space, not time, extended time, not a process, but destination, there and then. This is another trap that can steal this experience of physical touch. In Tantra, we have multiple practices that actually form some foundational techniques from modern sexology. If you go to a sexologist with certain problems in intimate sphere, you will be instructed to perform those practices. They're tantric in nature. The practices that allow you to discover your body. The practices that allow not only you discover your body, but also you and your partner both discover the tools for how to handle that body. Because it's very fun. Yes, when I was a teenager, there was my friend always had Cosmopolitan magazine in her bathroom. So I would always like glance through this magazine when I visited, or we would read it, just for fun. We'd read this Cosmopolitan magazine, and Cosmopolitan was very generous in offering those like techniques for what to do in bed. But then in real life, it oftentimes doesn't apply, because different people crave different touch, and moreover, you cannot just isolate the body into specific zones to touch. Pay attention to them. Build your own like repertoire, some go-to. Neither you should, I think, make it an automation that, okay, sexy time. This is when we go through zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, and then straight to business. It's very tempting, it's very easy to turn it into automation, devoiding intimacy of play, and eventually leading to some sensual starvation, forgetting the whole appeal of intimacy. Oftentimes that happens. Boredom in intimacy, boredom in sexual life happens because awareness leaves it. We kind of build a recipe that brings us to some destination, and this destination starts drifting away because our brain stops perceiving it as something special. And our body forgets to connect with different parts that exist, that can be pleasure-bearing. And then eventually the body, remember in the workshop we were looking at the picture of the body as brain perceives it, and according to the density of nervous endings and the amount of information that we receive from them. The body can minimize, the body of partners can minimize to some like patches like this big, couple of patches, and that's it. But in Tantra, we expand this repertoire and we expand the menu of how they can be accessed. And physical touch, as the language of love, is something where we also demand being seen, being heard, being loved, being pampered, being comforted, being excited. When we bring awareness to it, when we improve our literacy in that, it also is a very powerful tool, important, super powerful tool that will enrich our overall life, our overall sensual life, how we interface with the world. Because the more awareness we bring, the less automations there will be, the more we'll feel aliveness. Remember that photo that I put? It was a painting with text. And I wrote there that we feel alive when we perceive life, when we sense it. We sense life. There is awareness, there is an active processing of sensory information in our brain. So the more we can receive, the more information we can read and comprehend and process from our sensors that are all over our body, the more we will feel alive. So this thing is the pathway to feeling alive. And then imagine if we take all of these tools. Hello, critical drinker. If we take all of these tools and bring them to practice and intentionally build this beautiful, wonderful garden of love with all of the tools at our disposal, how amazing life will be perceived. It will be something that's celebrated every day. It will be something that's so special, something that's so ecstatic, something that's so beautiful, something that's so ever expanding, something that you want to just dive into every single day. Who is going to run away from intimacy? Who is going to run away from love? Who is going to be feeling miserable in relationship, miserable and lonely? When you turn on all languages of love, build this garden and practice love in this garden in the most beautiful way possible. When both people are heard, or if you are even in communication with more people, if you are in some leadership position, if you are interfacing with other people outside of like some intimate relationship, you still can build those gardens and invite people in those beautiful interactions. How much more beautiful and enriching life will be. Isn't it a beautiful, cool concept? Garden of love sounds nice. It does. I hate that I do this. I read visual and verbal all the time. It fries my brain. I see this behavior all the time in people. The body language, close contact with their relations automatically know, but the help mechanism won't let me keep my mouth shut and end up reaching out to them asking if they're okay. Killerka, wonderful. Santa Monica, hello Santa Monica. We only have 3 people right now in this stream. Our garden is not so populated today, but I love it. So, and the choice, natural, natural choice of a human will be to join the beautiful garden. People are drawn to that. Isn't this an answer to the loneliness problem or deficit of relationships? Because the beautiful garden will always be attracting people. That's something that so many people are devoid of, I think. This type of interaction, cultivated, where love is cultivated through verbal channel, where love is cultivated through body language, where love is cultivated through attention to detail, where love is cultivated through physical touch. These form such a comprehensive system. Yeah, Kiva, classmates are missing introduction. Classmates are missing inspiration. But they will surely bring something, and we can discuss that. So for people who are craving relationships, doesn't it create a solid recipe for how to have relationships? For people who are dissatisfied with relationships with the world, doesn't it generate ideas for how relationships with the world could be approached differently? By, for instance, swapping certain verbal spells with something that bears intention of love, intention of beautifying the world, intention of the beautiful love garden. That one swap. Doesn't relaxing the body and learning to be more relaxed, more open in certain life scenarios, doesn't that help to cultivate better interactions with people? And also attracting more sincere, more vulnerable behavior from people, as opposed to defensive behavior. Perhaps. Please expand on verbal spells and relationships. Verbal spells and relationships. Let's discuss. Once we had this concept of how people's brains are not so not so eager to work. Human brain is quite lazy. We like to compartmentalize knowledge and information. For instance, you probably have some friend, let's say, or some person that you know, some Kate with headache. Because Kate, whenever you meet Kate always brings up that she has headaches. You probably have Bob financial problems. You probably had some person who always talks about financial problems. Maybe you have some Peter shitty weather. So Peter always talks in some crazy terms about that weather is always bad. Or politics is always bad. Something that's independent of his influence is always going to be bad. So there will be Peter bad weather. It's likely that there is a compartment in the brain that classified those people based on what they fixate on, what they talk about the most, or what energy they convey. You probably will have some sunny Sarah. Whenever you meet Sarah, you always feel like you just were kissed by the sun. You were kissed by the most positive, blooming thing on the planet. You feel blessed. You are on the wings. You are inspired to do the best things of yours and enjoy life. Maybe you have some calm, peaceful Serge, and this Serge, whenever you are in his presence, you always feel like life is good and calm and tranquil and everything will be good. And you stop fearing anything in life and you just like see the world as such a beautiful place that is so calm and welcoming and you feel very peaceful. We tend to assign labels or classify people in some capacity. And that is on the basis of what the keywords are. And that's what the keywords I call the spells. The spells, if you listen, if you record yourself, if you listen to other people, you will see how many things they are speaking into themselves and into the other people. What is it if not spells? Because each time they are pronouncing these things, they are reinforcing this compartment, them being put in this compartment, like this box in their companion's mind. They like occupy this box as like a virtually positive person with financial struggles, person with headache, a person who is very in love and very excited about life. Each time you are saying something, you are reinforcing this placement. You are reinforcing how you are being seen. And then the other people, they start treating you like that. So like a manifestation. Yes, it's social manifestation. Because you just people start seeing you like that. People see the label before they see you. If you said something to people 25 times before, accentuated it, brought it with emotion, their entire body, their entire hormonal system already responded to that. If someone speaks about financial problems, if the person listens to that, they first notice stress. They first register stress, then they register information. They start reading this person as the source of stress, plus associated complex of information. And if their problem is at least a little bit relatable to you, you are going to feel like this person always induces stress about money in you, or stress about your relevant problem that you don't want to stress about right now. So you generate your portrait, hormonal and verbal portrait, conceptual portrait, in people's heads. Now when you approach them, they already project. They project what they know about you. And what do? It reinforces in you. You go into this resonance. You brought it to people. Let's say financial problems. Let's do. This is like a guy who's stressed about financial problems. You brought it to someone. They feel this stress. Some thoughts start populating their mind. Whatever they have, love life problems, or they want to buy a house and they can't afford it yet. So this person now projects it onto you. You enter the cyclical relationship. So you enter the resonance with the rest of the world, effectively. I understand the verbal spells very well, but it's not always done in malicious manipulation. Sometimes people do it to protect that person and themselves because they actually genuinely care. It's harder to let your partner suffer unto themselves than it is random people. Well, for sure. With partner, you're already in this intimate cycle. This is why it's important to have dialogues such that you both can exit them simultaneously. That's the power of relationship. Because in relationship, you have more time typically together, you have more resource, and you can generate this different type of resonance. A couple, for instance, that practices Tantra, that practices awareness dialogue that builds beautiful garden together, that builds this infrastructure, will be very powerful at leveling up on emotional level, on personal level, because they are in this cyclical relationship at all times. And they can fine tune these things and they can together exit those things if they're in a dialogue. But yeah, these things are very strong. And you should change if you want to change the environment around you. It's a very good and easy idea to identify the spells that you're pronouncing at all times, such that you change the compartment where you belong, what you strike in other people, typically. I'm not saying at all times. We're not primitive robots, we're complex robots, but identifying which spell you want to cast, which spell you want to multiply. And finding tools for that will be very valuable. Not artificially, but through deeper work, through more profound work, through better alignment, through pursuit of authenticity in that realm. And it will generate different cycles with other people. And it will be drawing more people as well. That's how we expand on that. But let's think also about it. You're welcome. Let's think about it. Imagine a dog. So many people are drawn to dogs because dogs are typically, they are good time seeker. They want to play, they want to have good time usually. They're hardly dogs that electively, healthy dogs that electively go for depression and sadness. Dogs usually are there to have the greatest time of their life. And people are drawn to them. There are rarely people who are not like terribly afraid of dogs who would not be drawn to that. Think about it. They rush openly with all their entirety, with their most bare heart to the space with this dog, with this joy, with this love. That demonstrates to us how natural this impulse is and how much of garbage we build in the space of relationships between people. So we can extrapolate, if we want to improve our relationships with people, we can extrapolate this projection that we can observe in the interaction with the dog and nurture that through words, through body language, through openness to the world, through building our own strength, through building our own authentic strength and power to conduct love, such that we're not particularly vulnerable or feel endangered by doing so, such that it's our nature, basic nature. That's what we do in Tantra. We access that core that is capable of radiating love authentically, not as a form of some trade, not as a form of some derealization, not as a form of escapism or anything like that. Creative, grounded, powerful energy of love. So Tantra is how to become a dog. Hello, Carlo. Dogs are brilliant at reading body language. Uh-huh. Thank you, Kivushka. Hi, girl. Hippocrates. You have competition now. I always read grill instead of girl. Like imagining this really cute grill. That's my first thing, first impulse. Is it correct spelling? Thought yes it is. Competition. So this is our formula. This is how we can communicate love. And this is all that we use in tantric sex, tantric intimacy. Verbal, non-verbal, attention and thought, and touch. All of these components are components of tantric intimacy. All of these are the tools that allow us to build our beautiful garden of love. The practice that I did last night was garden with thought, with visualization, touch, non-verbal. It's super powerful, super beautiful meditation. And what's cool about it is when we connect all of it, when we don't, when we find full overlap, full authenticity, when everything goes into this alignment. How do you draw this properly? When everything intercepts in this authentic form, when there's overlap of those languages of love, this is when we can say that we've built very good, loving relationship, very fulfilling, very nurturing, loving relationship. And each of these can be exercised and worked on starting today. With nonverbal, of course, it's the practice that I suggested. Film yourself and see where there are unauthenticities. See also where you have another observation to make here is when you feel tension in communication. What kind of communication trigger your tension? Where your defenses start working. And try practicing in some safe environment. Try practicing not closing off to certain experiences that trigger physical defenses. Will be very interesting. But yeah, when we intercept them, this is the space, the ultimate space where our tantric life, tantric intimacy is born. And ultimately, tantric intimacy is based on the foundation of our overall lifestyle. It's not going to be that we jump in the bed and suddenly magic happens. No, it's not going to be. It all starts with a thought. It all starts with intention. It starts with how we talk, how we look, and how our body lives. It's all the life of our body as well. And thought and imagination is very important there because it's a predecessor. It's what cultivates the concept of relationship in our head. What we feel, what we think about it, what garden we produce. There's a wonderful practice that I will give in the workshop. It's called the Love Resonator. It's a practice for either people with partner or people without the partner, but with an idea, with a clear vision of a partner that we'll be building. And that's a super wonderful practice. That this Love Resonator, oh my God, it's such a cool practice. I'm glad that there are so few people today because we can talk about it. So Love Resonator can be used either to cultivate love or to also connect and perhaps in some metaphysical way affect and bless your partner, make their experience, make their life more beautiful. And love resonator also can be to achieve creative goals. And love resonator is where my teacher was very, actually, was illustrating through this love resonator practice, was demonstrating, illustrating how important it is to be in a powerful monogamous bond as opposed to having multiple partners. Because love resonator appeals to this strong visual and focus and cultivation of very strong sensation of love and attraction to your loved one. Again, either real or this like perfect lover that we envision in the beginning of constructing the practice of Shiva and Shakti. So it's a really cool one. We'll see, we'll do it on the workshop. Next workshop or afterwards, because next workshop we're probably going to be stuck for a while building Shiva Shakti one. Remember Q, that will be that one. We'll be continuing on it. So filming is effective, understood, yes, it is. Pranava, Pranav Kumar, thank you so much. It always takes the verbal for confirmation, especially with those that are in major sense of self-doubt. Yes, good comment. Well, I can't decide if you're smart or cute. I mean, both can be true, but how can I incorporate both at the same time? Ghost Cider. How can I incorporate both at the same time? I want to understand whether you feel conflicted integrating it in you or believing that it's possible in others. Incorporate. If you elaborate, I will talk to you about it. Because I think that's perfect time for interactive part right now. So resonator of love, I will tell you while our friend Ghost Cider is thinking. Resonator of love works as you need several ingredients. It's a linear visualization in which you are placing your loved one and some superpower. And if you know how resonators work, you basically, I just need to try. We just need to try it. Ma'am, I have a question. Yep, absolutely. Can I ask doubts? Formulate the question clearly. For sure, questions are always welcome. The question becomes, however, where to harvest all of this love? There are so many people who feel like the need for love. This, I think, is a big problem. How to awaken, how to find this resource for love inside. And that's where, first, de-armoring the body, removing excessive dysfunctional defenses comes in handy. That's what we do with fundamental practices, conditioning practices of Tantra. And secondly, we perform practices that allow us to tune in to the entire world around us, such that everything becomes the fuel for love. And as we are leaping from conditioning ourselves, opening up more resource to try new things, then getting energetically fueled and conceptually fueled by the beauty of the world, by the energy of other people around us, by some ideas that now come because we are de-armored, we're more free, we have much more cognitive capacity. We continue doing more de-armoring and we're receiving more feedback. Now we also can embark on more giving practices. We start craving more things. We start generating resource to be able to access more resource within, more psychological resource. We integrate parts of our persona that are also anchored to imagery, anchored to music. We harvest all of that. And then, by employing the principles that we learn in the conditioning practices, such as sensations in the body, for instance, we can fill our body with those sensations. Because sensation, not sensation, this energy that we harvest from the world around us. Because it's one thing to just hear music, get it trigger something in our mind. It's totally other thing. It also will be in the workshop. It's a totally different thing when we absorb that and seed it in our body. Make it anchored, associated with something in our body. Becomes our disposable resource that we control, as opposed to just something that happens in passing. Hello, stepsis. I feel subtle energy. How can I deal with negative feelings coming from negative people? Like some energy of people are really toxic, like kind of jealous or try to trigger. Well, this I have one recommendation here. Just discussed it today, actually. A good tool for that is having prior commitment. Having exercised the idea, the firm idea of what your path is, what you want in life, what your priorities are in life. You build prior commitments, if necessary, before it becomes your default. If you want to build some new framework, you can perform it as a daily morning thing when you are aligning yourself with your path. When you have a prior commitment, your mental resource is going to default to the prior commitment. When you encounter the situation that could be toxic, you're going to dismiss it. You're going to give it far less attention. You're going to get triggered far less if you have prior commitment. An example, you have a lecture at 3:30 p.m. You have a lecture. At 3, some needy friend of yours, or at 2 p.m., some needy friend of yours tells you, calls you. Hello, I am breaking up with my girlfriend, boyfriend. I need your help moving my furniture away from her. She's so nasty. La 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 la. You have a lecture at 3:30. You have been doing homework for it. You've been preparing for this lecture. It's a really interesting lecture. And you need to be at an appointment at 3:30. Are you going to be stuck on the phone with that friend? No, you have prior commitment. You will tell them that, I'm sorry, I have a lecture at 3:30. I need to prepare. Let's talk later. And this emotional and obligation dump will not happen to you because you have a prior commitment. How about we generate our life, we generate the flow of life, we create commitments such that people's paths that try to influence you, that try to move you off track, that try to get something from you in a forced upon fashion, such that afterwards you spend 20 hours dwelling on that experience. How about we design life consisting of prior commitments, such that this meets this, not this. Come fly with me. Let's fly away. You're not flying away. You're on the path. You know where you need to be, you know where you need to go. Sounds a little bit robotic, sounds a little bit antisocial, but nevertheless, people want love. People want to be heard. People want to be seen. And you being swept by their toxic behavior doesn't help anyone. People want this wall. People want your emotional resilience. And your emotional resilience is born from your mental focus elsewhere. You will help them far more. They come to you, they employ what's called toxic behavior because they don't know how to communicate their desire to be loved and seen otherwise. And you, for example, I want to live in a beautiful, loving world. My prior commitment, I want to live in a beautiful, loving world. So when someone comes and starts saying something that's unpleasant, you assess, does this correspond my reaction? Which reaction of mine will correspond to me living in a beautiful, loving world? Quickly assess it. It's your prior commitment. You conditioned yourself for it. And you start using discernment. Most importantly, internal discernment. How much of your resource are you going to spend being swept, ignoring it altogether, or just showing some constructive compassion? Because you being swept into toxicity only propagates this behavior. This toxic behavior to this person as well, because they try to get love, but all they meet is resonance of their toxicity. Somebody on the internet right now hears about them being toxic. You right now telling me about this story is you thinking, enhancing them being toxic, dangerous, bad. They wanted love. So you're not helping yourself, you're not helping them by being swept by them. All you did by following their toxic behavior was to propagate the information about their toxicity to more people because you can't contain it yourself. I now and people in the chat know about toxicity of these people now. We did not multiply love. We multiplied the information about their toxicity. And if we build prior commitment that we want more love and more beautiful interactions between people, then we can think, we can meditate on the proper strategy. How next time when this situation arises? Go into meditation. Think what you usually do and what you could be doing. Build certain attitude, find energy in you, find method inside of you that will help you withstand that, such that you carry them with you, or you dampen this impulse, or you become impermeable for this impulse, depending on how much you care for the person, depending on how you assess the probability of them being able to go on the same track with you, for instance. And if you think that it's totally pointless if a person has a very rigid psyche, they're unable to be flexible. They don't have flexibility of behavior, or they are too driven by this impulse right now, such they can just tunnel through you without affecting you, such that their impulse dissipates on its own and disappears somewhere in the ether. I'm new to your class. What should I do to learn better? Uh, just stick around. You will get the gist. Thank you so much, Pranav. Sorry. Thank you, Hippocrates. Hello, Hannah Lucy. But being swept by these people shows inadequacy and instability. Shows vulnerability in the system, yeah. What can throw me off my track? And why? Why is my prior commitment less valuable than doing this? Probably have a bruise here from these toxic people. And the thing is that people are usually mutually toxic. That's people enter this cyclical behavior with each other. Just as much as we regard them as toxic. When they come to our life, they also feel, at least non-consciously, they will feel like I behaved as a toxic person with them. This person awakened this toxicity in me. Hanushka, yes, of course. Questions are always welcome. How do we unrepress? Unrepress, you mean? Do we have a particular story, particular case, example, which we can start with? The suspension bridge, it has to be designed for a bit of give and take, otherwise its rigidness will collapse. The problem arises when the bridge isn't stable enough and that few feet of give and take turn into 30 feet either side. Yeah. Analogies also can be used in meditation, by the way. You can transmute them into human experience. If it's easy, for instance, to come up with some object with certain properties, and then in visualization, you associate yourself with that. What psychological properties correspond to that? Have questions yet answer them myself, I guess? I'll leave it to you guys. Kiva, ask questions. We have plenty of time left. Pranav, I'm very happy that you feel this way. I'm really pleased. Let's ritualistically take all of this toxicity and let's turn it into beautiful pink sparkly fog and dissipate into flower pollen that will plant beautiful sparkly flowers. So, how do we, can you do some reading for me? Reading of what? I'm Tantra coach, such that if I guess you're new, live feed. So if you have any questions to a Tantra coach, you're welcome. Anna Lucy, how do we unrepress? Unrepress. How do we unrepress? I love that we actually started talking about love and love languages. It's so beautiful. I wanted to embrace the flow of my yesterday's experience, and I'm so happy, you know? It's such a beautiful kind of energy. It's not like excited energy in this jittery sense, but it's so velvety and soft. It's so pleasant. So how do we unrepress? Question from the audience. First, let's identify what is repressed for you. Keywords. She's not fortune teller. I'm fortune sender. Hannah, live streams are never missed. You can just watch the first hour of the stream when it's posted. What's repressed? Yes, we are Hannah. We're waiting for Hannah's input. What's repressed for you? Let's throw some keywords here, some relatable situations. Let's think of scenarios. Let's think of Uncle Buddy. Hello, welcome back. You look like Danny Denial. Are you from Russia originally? Yeah, my native language is Russian, yes. I don't understand this. I have represented voice, represented voice to say. So I shrink for others. Depressed equals shrunk, shrinking voice. Hello, Gretel. Speech. So shrinking voice and speech, and we want to unrepress. So unrepressed means, what is the antagonist of shrinking? What do we want with our speech? What do we want with our voice? Let's think about that first. Thank you, Juan Alvarez. How to deal with low self-esteem. What shit you teaching? I'm Tantra coach, Tantra therapist. Vagang Xavier. So stick around if you want to learn. So how to deal with lower self-esteem. Lower self-esteem, how to deal with it. It's a comprehensive work, Pranav. If you have some story that you would like to elaborate on, you can send me an email and we can do live stream on that. My email is found in my channel description. Okay, it's opening on the stream. Maybe we'll find new students. You know how it works sometimes. Somebody comes with what WTF, what is this? And then they're like, oh, it's interesting. Yes. Not all right, but a high percentage. There is a funny thing. We use this tool, remember this analogy before, for voice, for speech repression. People who have been too small, too convenient. Sometimes they have this idea of grabbing a microphone, going on stage, this like almost like compulsive idea to just go on stage and tell everyone that you all suck. I hate you all for all the trouble you've given to me, for all of your stupidity, for all of your stupid aggression, for your anger, for your petty bullshit that you've been throwing at me and at the world, for you upsetting and offending and insulting the weaker ones, the kinder ones, because of your short sighted pride, with your anger, with your cockiness, you snobs who don't understand the world, who don't feel anything, who don't have any form of empathy or love. And I'm never going to be silent again. You all suck. And here is the rain of spiders that is now going to fall on your heads. So this is the idea, kind of. All of that done to some beat, to some Kanye West song, or to some soundtrack, and with huge audience of people who, who in my opinion, deserves to hear all that. So that's kind of the antagonist of the shrinking repression of speech and repression of voice. Vaughan Xavier is claiming that I'm teaching the art of seduction. Not necessarily. Professor, why you look so happy? Because we're talking about languages of love. Fantastic topic. I'm very in the flow today. I think narcissists will be like that person till they think they're mentally. I just saw you and thought you are beautiful, but after listening, I knew your great positive energy. Your energy radiating. So people manipulated by narcissists are mentally ill? No. Jack Nitro Burst, hello. Nobody's take up for the weak. I mean, weakness always has a flip side as well. Weakness is often repressed tyranny, so that's unclaimed aggression, rather. Aggression where you push your boundaries in, you accumulate a lot of aggression that leads you to wanting to do that, to step on everybody's heads and to punish everyone. At the point when you're tired of punishing yourself, shrinking yourself, and trying to minimize yourself. So that's kind of a flip side of it. Actually, I want to keep talking like that now. It was such a fun way of expressing it. Yep. But that's, she's talking into marker. Yes, Jack Nitro Burst. I was talking into marker. Now I will be talking into my finger, okay? So, this repression, that is the practices that can be that, is to allow yourself this performance on stage. When you let this aggression outwards, when you practice aggression outwards as your natural adaptation to living in the world, because without having aggression outwards, you're not going to survive. It's natural adaptation. Some people who will usually think are aggressive, they regard the world inadequately as too dangerous. They see danger where there is no danger. And that's where those people become aggressive. They can't compute how to behave properly. They have problems pushing everybody's boundaries in because they think that autonomy of some other person is dangerous for them. This is one polarity. But there are other people who think that their own boundary from within being bigger and adequate is dangerous because they were shown that no, shrink yourself, shrink yourself, shrink your boundary, shrink your boundary. What's felt as being repressed is inadequate. Perceived psychophysical size. That's what perceive, that's what we interpret as being repressed. Inadequate perceived psychophysical size. So you go into the world, everybody lives in this bubble. And I live in like this bubble. My bubble becomes this like constricting wall. Some I don't know. Can I illustrate it with something? No, probably. It feels like you're being tied by something. Like you are, I don't know, piece of meat in the food film. So everyone is big, adequate. Leaders especially. Well, who is a leader? Leader expands their boundary to make a change in the world. They're like, I want this done. I want to employ these people. I want to create goods for people. I have will to create something that I can give to other people. I can acquire resources, more resources. I will inflate my boundaries even more, such that I can give more to the world. So leader expands boundaries. Effectively act of aggression. What happens with a person who is feeling repressed? A repressed person feels like they're suffocated inside of some coffin. They feel like they want to be big, but it's dangerous to be big. Why is it dangerous to expand? What's happening when you expand? What happens there? There could be just reflex from childhood, and when you expand, when you try to become bigger in the psychophysical space, you become bigger with your thoughts, you become bigger with your responsibility and freedom. When that happens, somebody takes a hammer and boom, your head. Painful once, painful twice, painful 3 times. On the 4th time, you're not going to attempt to step up in your psychophysical size. No, 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 it's dangerous. There's some creature with a hammer that builds me this boom reflex. And in the real world, there are actually plenty of things that can make us recall that fear. Because what can we paint? We can entitle other people's opinions as being this boom painful thing. I will expand my boundary, and then somebody will come and be like, boom. I don't know, like you have crooked teeth. Oh my God, your voice sounds like, I don't know, like a rooster. Boom. I expand my boundaries, somebody says something. Or, I don't know, some people imagine to themselves that, okay, I really want to make cakes and sell cakes, beautiful cakes. But their first thought, because they're raised with this reflex that they're beaten every time they express any will, any creative impulse, their first thought will be, no, I'm not gonna make cakes because some Bob Jones from Alabama will have diarrhea once from my cake. I'll make a cake and Bob Jones will have a diarrhea. We'll sue, and then everything will be absolutely nuts. The person cannot think about cakes, about how to make them good, about how to produce them. The first impulse is to think about this beating, punishing hammer that beats every time. There is an impulse. There is an impulse to expand. What can we do? We can find some safe activities, i.e. activities in which the potential hammer will be not scary. It will be some inflatable hammer. For instance, you have low sensitivity for some people's criticism. I don't know, you can go to some karaoke and sing song. There will be some drunk, whoever, villagerians that you could care less about. And you can sing, I don't know, whatever song with all passion, get their reaction, and that will help you to exercise how you can expand your boundaries, how you can become bigger, more visible without this burning, painful, scary hit. Or you can exercise that in some communication. If you, for example, if a cashier accidentally beeps one good twice, some person will be like, oh my god, they did it twice, but they already, for example, the cashier like does this thing twice, and then they already grab another product, they already beeped it, and then there's a person behind me in the line. I'm not gonna say anything. No, I'm not gonna say anything. I will shrink my boundaries. After all, I will make this money. I'm good at it. I make enough. Let them just beep it twice. I say that. Your boundary was just pushed inwards. Exercise that. What will cashier do? What will this person behind you do? It's some human mistake. No, nobody's particularly guilty in that. It just happens. Expand yourself. Allow yourself to speak up that your boundaries were pushed inwards. Tell to the cashier, excuse me, you beeped my sponges twice. Can you undo one? The cashier will be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, it happens. Yeah, such a day, busy day, pee, 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 pee. And nice chatter happens. That's the span of it. But you exercise that your boundaries are now adequate. You understand where they are located. Or you're talking to someone who makes you shrunk. You know that with that specific person you feel shrunk. Start inhaling their thoughts. Start inhaling the experience. Remember the trick. We're not swallowing the thoughts. We're not swallowing their energy. We're inhaling it. You know that this Bob Jones always gives you this feeling. I will. Inside you're thinking, I hate you, I don't want to do this, I will never do this again, I'm never gonna talk to you again, blah, 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 blah. But on the surface you are, yes, sure, very nice, thank you. No, tell Bob Jones, first of all, inhale everything that's happening. This is how we inhale and exhale. And with this Bob Jones, take a pause. Assess what happens. Ask them a question. Voice your interest, prior commitment. And let them help you fulfill your prior commitment. You know, on this weekend I really wanted to rest. I really planned to spend this weekend walking, watching beautiful movies, and eating eclairs with my favorite tea. And what you just told me caught me off guard, because that's totally not, that doesn't belong to my plans whatsoever. I really would want to help you, but not this weekend. Throw the ball in their court. I have prior commitment. You don't even need to have concept of self-esteem. Remember, we're not beating, like banging into the wall of our ego. We have a path. I have a path. Have prior commitment. The magic of prior commitment, when everything about your day, about your week, is written down to the amount of rest that you need. Wonderful tool. Write it down and stick with that schedule, respect that schedule. Bob Jones, I have prior commitment. Cashier, this is my money. These are my goods. Do it well. Simple acts of leadership like that, based on prior commitment. These are the tools outside of some practices. But how you can further condition yourself for that? Last time we were talking about the practice, the giant. The giant is the wonderful practice that allows you to generate adequate psychophysical space. Adequate psychophysical space. When you are inflating yourself, basically overcompensating for the oppression that you feel, you inflate yourself in your imagination with your breath, connecting your entire body. You inflate yourself to some crazy sizes, and in that peak, in the biggest size, where all worries and problems are beneath, you're exiting the meditation. And the world will seem like a totally different place. Because you're not from this. You're from this adequate size. Lowering the overall level of neurosis is also going to help. Because if you are constantly on the edge, tapping into the very reserves of your resources, it will be harder to snap out of automation and think to inhale the input from Bob Jones. It will be harder to employ new behavior. And if you do employ new behavior, there could be a rush of adrenaline. There could be, I don't know, some brain fog, blushing. To avoid that, we need to, or to minimize these effects from novelty, to increase our willingness to embrace novelty. We do conditioning practices where we lower our level of agitation and abuse on the nervous system, the baseline abuse of nervous system, we lower it. Hence, our body has more resource and our brain has more resource. We're not just burning it pointlessly. We are using it when it's needed and not using it when it's not needed. We learn to reasonably use our body and brain powers. Instead of living like a walking spasm, we're gradually expanding the domain where we're relaxed, resourceful, where blood flows normally, where organs are not starved, where brain is not starved. When we can afford this exhale, where we know how to breathe fully with our belly, instead of barely breathing, exercising, I don't know, like third of the capacity, signaling to the brain that we're in constant state of danger. And being exhausted before the potential battle begins. It's like how my stepfather likes to say, don't fall before the shot. But living in constant tension, living in constant stress, that is not just a cognitive thing. It becomes a feedback loop that is hard to exit without intervention through practice, for instance. That style of living emulates the situation in which you fell before the shot. So it's effectively a pretty dysfunctional way of treating the world, which is illusion, which is living in the fake world. So let's see the chat. I'm pretty far from my phone. Oh, so much. Oh, the microphone. I was speaking directly. I speak in English because my Russian isn't the best. Okay, Russian. Ta-ta-tan, ta-tan. Okay, I wasn't the best of the live stream. Rewind for a couple of seconds to note something. Hopefully, I didn't miss too much. Pranav, you found me in just the very right time. Yes, like constricted, so. Jack Nitro Burst. That's actually one of my earlier dresses. I made it 3 years ago. 3 years ago, and it was my dress that, yeah, I super craved going to the seaside, and I created it with that intention, and it came true. Some people feel trauma, some exchange. Yeah, then you become vulnerable, and they'll see and hit you with that hammer. The nail that sticks out gets hammered. Sorry, off topic. Did you make this dress too? Yes. Every time I try to open up, people feel in too much, like either radical, crazy, or mad. Thank you, Great Own, about the dress. Thank you, Hannah Lucy, as well. Exactly, this is how I feel. Expressed so well, like frustration compiled, and I quit jobs. Love eclairs. How do we embrace novelty? Novelty, to embrace novelty, yeah, that I said that we need to have resource, because novelty is inherently stressful. To make novelty not so stressful, not be perceived as like red zone danger, we need to have resource such that it's like somewhere in yellow zone. And then to be able to handle the yellow zone, we can approach it, we can further lower the grade of danger by concept work. And also we can use tricks for focus switching, where from the experience of going into the yellow zone, we are focusing on what this action will bring us towards. Great, on, thank you so much. Kiyoshka, thank you so much. You heal my wounds, touch something no one ever touched with mother-like healing. Wow, Pranav, thank you so much. Okay. Looks beachy, incredibly humid. Thank you so much. Thank you, Hannah Lucy, so much. So where are we? Let's write the recipe down, I guess, on the board for repression, such that we have it. Will you have a clothing line, Uncle Buddy? Yes, I will eventually. I'm more focused this live stream than the last. Cool. But yeah, clothing line, yeah, we definitely will. But that you see, one project grows, and then there is resource and there is desire to develop, evolve. and simultaneously resources, and you grow in that direction. So clothing line, I also want to make a line of accessories for practices, because there's such, I was trying to find a beautiful rug or some like space, I don't know, mattress, little mattress for meditations. I don't necessarily care to get some, I don't know, designs that are overly rustic, or something that's made of polyester, or something that is crazily colored. I don't know. It's very, very difficult to find something that works for practices. And with Tantra, the priority is for absolute comfort. And there's so many ideas that I have for that. And then also for visualization work, there are tools. Then also another thing that I couldn't find online is, for instance, some like beautiful space where I could put my objects, where I could put, I don't know, even boombox, music player, you stuff like that, such that I have some organized space for that. Then another thing is, we'll talk about it sometime. For instance, organizing your bedroom, some private space. There's so much we can do, because people organize their bedrooms like in some Raymour and Flanagan advertisement. There's literally so much play that we're often missing out when we are just going with some stock interior designs, instead of allowing at least our bedroom to be the place where we can put all of our creativity in. Who said that there must be a bed with spring box, with a mattress, with some pillows, when we can organize our bedroom as totally whimsical, totally magical place, with pillows on the ground, with different rugs, with different mattresses, with tons of blankets, with tons of beautiful things, with, I don't know, some candle arrangements and whatnot, with different elements. We can do so much with our living space, at least with the bedroom. Something where you are getting born from every day. Something where you connect with yourself fully each night or each morning. That is also something that haunts me so much. There's a lot of growth, but I need to scale up my mind. I need to scale up my leadership for these projects that require more of the resource to come true naturally without forcing them upon myself. So, self-repression. Self-repression and repression. So what we're going to do, we're going to increase physical plus mental, which mental is also physical. I hate separating the two. Hate in like figurative sense. I don't hate. I don't like separating the two. Increase physical and mental resource. Recipe here is conditioning tantric practices. Then, the giant practice. We return adequate size. What else was I talking about? Exercising, boundary work. With boundaries, we are just, whenever they're being pushed, we're communicating. And then another thing is prior commitment. Prior commitment. So we have prior commitment, increase physical, mental resource, the giant, and exercising the boundaries. Thank you, Pranav. Hannah, just thinking along the lines of logic, if trauma was automatically a mental unwellness, mental ill, what's the name for it if trauma is a mental illness? But again, it can definitely be initiated. Interesting notion. I would say that trauma is dysfunctional adaptation. Dysfunctional being that it was functional back in the day, but now conditions changed and trauma just doesn't suit what you need in life. Like, for example, a woman wants to enjoy sex with her loving, safe partner, but because of her previous sexual trauma, she feels insane pain anytime he tries to penetrate. So she feels incredible anxiety, performance anxiety, fear of intimacy, and guilt. Is it mental illness? Well, it's she adapted before. Her body adapted to not letting sex to happen because it was dangerous at some point. Now it is safe, but the body doesn't know that. Our psyche in general doesn't have timeline. Our psyche is not like you perceive like there is time, like you're born here. Like you're born here and you think that now you are this, I don't know. This is Hippocrates. So individual. So you think that this is like day 1 of your life. This is day 5055. How do you write this? But in the psyche, certain events, if they haven't processed well, they remain. They don't just evolve. And by processing, I mean some person with certain emotional events, some garbage happens to them. It doesn't get capsulated. It doesn't sink in their body and mind because they were able to process it on the spot. When we don't process the event, it just keeps living with us. We just carry it along. We carry the baggage of this event. This is why therapy, or actually this therapy where they emulate REM sleep reactions to process the traumatic event and get rid of it, are being used. Focus defocus with blinking also can be used for that. To remove, to dissociate this, to bring completion to this event. Because what if there was a need to save mom from some bad guy? But your mom went with that bad guy and spent 10 years, miserable 10 years of her life with this bad guy. You never brought to completion the act of saving your mom. So you think that you need to save your mom. Whether you are 10 years old or you're 35 years old, you still live with this unaccomplished thing that you need to save your mom. Until you bring it to completion, you're going to be living with that garbage. So we need to bring it to completion. Bring to completion means that on all levels of my being, I understand that there's nothing. I did everything I could, nothing could be done, everything is good, the experience is healed. I'm safe. I don't need to bunk myself behind a stone wall. I am safe. I can just walk out. I don't need all that. I don't need the stone wall. Cartoons. Draw a female. Later. Or another analogy here. Imagine some traumatic event being like an analogy of rain, let's say. But for person, it felt like some super big deal that they didn't understand. For the first time, they got rained on. It was an insane event. Somebody yelled at them, for instance, that why did you come home wet? Why did you come home dirty and in wet clothes? You're a terrible child, you're a terrible human. You are absolutely nuts. Why didn't you go somewhere indoors to wait for the rain to stop while you were rushing home, for instance? So this child will build, I don't know, will be carrying concrete plate on them. On their back. At all times. Because that rain was really crazy. Instead of having an umbrella when necessary. So what them working on their trauma will do? It will give them an umbrella. Instead, they will know that, okay, I don't need to have rock solid protection from the rain. I don't need to carry a concrete plate on me at all times, be it rain or shine. I don't need that, it's dysfunctional. On the rare occasion that it rains, I can just get an umbrella. Much better tool. Downgraded him to stickman. So the person discovers that situational umbrella is the way to go instead of carrying a whole concrete plate 24/7. This is how healing from trauma works. I build a much more functional boundary for myself. Wet rain thing. Hee hee hee. We're just in a pursuit of a better way to establish our boundaries. Instead of this scenario, looking at the world from the brick wall, from behind the brick wall at all times, or carrying something on our shoulders, because we know that the probability of rain on a given day is 5%. But some people carry umbrellas. Well, umbrella is something, I mean, that's reasonable. If they know they have situational awareness, they're not deadly scared of the rain, necessitating for them to carry some terribly heavy thing at all times. So psychopath might say it's only water and go about their thing. Sure. A woman who underwent certain event, they will acknowledge that there are indeed, she will not be living in the world of only terrible men. She will be living in the world, if she understands that she lives in the world of only terrible men, this is this situation. Or this situation. Because she thinks from within the trauma that was very dangerous for her. The survival mechanism is to just protect at all times because accomplishment was not brought. If she acknowledges that there is another domain of life, yes, there are terrible men, absolute terrible men, but they're also good men. They're good people. They're good scenarios. They're good ways of going about life. She will have the rain protection or bad man protection, but she will not be extrapolating it to the entirety of life. She will not be burdened by that at all times. This is how we go about trauma, traumatic events. We first open up the domain where trauma is irrelevant, our trauma doesn't exist, cannot work, is not necessary. And then we find proper boundary, safe boundary, adequate boundary, that will still give us the sense of protection, because we cannot, we don't perform lobotomies to make a person forget about the traumatic event. It's not like that. It doesn't get erased from memory. We just build the domain that expands over it. I like psychopath movies. Is it bad? Bad for what? Your Irish accent coming out in the chat. I'm sorry, Nastya, I'm with you. I'm along with you on this one. Just my articulation is that great. Sure. Let's set the charger. I love this baby so much. A gun? Shyam Sharma. Well, thank you. Seems you got Hannah on the Brian. Brian. I love your guys' dynamics so much. Sweetie. Sweetie. Well, I'm going to have to do some reviewing later. What about so much trauma that you don't have time to get past it? Little by little. Do you not have 10 minutes a day? How do we stop having bad dreams even if I'm relaxed before I sleep? I still have them. No, nice day, yes. Pranav, you're officially charging. So, bad dreams. Bad dreams, when do they occur? What kind of bad dreams? Do you go to REM sleep and you have active nonsense dreams? Is it what happened? Is it what's happening? And also, what's your background throughout the day? Because your brain will be processing information from like 2 days before, 1 day before, something perhaps that has been stuck in your mind without much processing. So, what's your informational background like? Do these dreams make you wake up like in terror? Because the way you sleep is governed by hormones as well. So we can look into that direction. So on the one hand, the content that you are consuming on a daily basis, the quality of information, the emotional load of information, how you yourself process information. Do process information with neutrality, or does information trigger very unpleasant emotions? Does information trigger anxiety or fear? How you feel about the events of life. Do you approach them also through fear, through upset, through a lot of load, emotional load? Or do you go about your day more neutrally? So the content and your reaction to it. Now the second component is what? That's the same. Pretty much the same thing, but from the other angle. What hormones are circulating in your system? What is your dominant? Plus, I got a haircut. I look 31 now, not 48, so you might not recognize me. Sure. When is the workshop? It's this Saturday. So, Hannah, what about the dreams? What's your daily life like? Same time, yes. And by the way, see your emails, guys. If I don't reply, I just haven't replied yet. I see that you send them to me. Crumbs. Is it hot in your apartment? No, I have an AC running. It's pretty cool. It's hot outside of my apartment. Very hot. But doable. A couple of days ago it was much worse. I had a big thunderstorm and that cooled things down. I was watching the lightning striking the sea. It's so cool. Naman, hello, welcome back. And so Hannah as well, you can be relaxed before bed. You can be just tired before bed. But you may not be deeply relaxed, functionally relaxed. Thank you so much, Hannah Lucy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your gift. Ura sa power, Kiushka, thank you so much. That's a cool scene. Yes, it was. It was phenomenal. I was so craving witnessing that. I was hoping that there will be some special effects, but there were literally none. It's just lightning going in the sea and nothing else happens. Thank you so much for helping me today, Hanushka. Thank you so much. Really happy. Louise Riley. Thank you. Hello. It's been dark here. This life has been a flash of light for me. Nastya, I didn't thank you for your insight on my childhood demeanor explained the other night. It opened so much awareness. Thank you. What helped you specifically? I think we kind of like abruptly ended it. I'm curious. What was insightful for you? If you don't mind sharing. Knowing my core. Okay, that one. That might be profound. Yes, I see how it can be. Because, again, there is no time for Psyche. Psyche is more like Russian doll than time axis. And so, that core is always great to connect with. And if the pathway to reconnecting with the core and emphasizing it, expanding there, can be found through trauma, that's wonderful. To see like how I survived despite something, how I built myself despite something on that resource, you can as never before connect with that thing technically, and that will be the path to super alignment and super growth. Pranav, thank you. Being able to go ahead with the parasitic thoughts, I never thought about it that way. But yeah, I guess I always had that spark. Mm-hmm. I think so. Hannah, workshop is on Saturday, this Saturday. Just email me already. I will send you all information. Somehow I manifested to work. And I think actually that certain kind of trauma, when you feel like when you know that some shit was happening, I think it injects something in you that helps you connect with that spark even bigger. I think there is this big value to all this, all to all the garbage that happens. You know how people say that, oh, trauma makes you strong, trauma makes you resilient, trauma makes you be able to learn some skills and yada yada. But I think one of the core values of that is that this trauma existence, it kind of separates you from normalcy, which in turn can be pretty good. Because when you're separated from numbing normalcy by holding on to traumatic adaptations, it might lead to you being more deeply connected with your core, as opposed to building up some masks, building up some defenses. I think that's the deep value of trauma. Because trauma will always, not always, not will always, may keep you separated from this debilitating normalcy. And in such, you have this bare nerve that connects you to the source of life, that intensifies your experience, that makes you hungry, that prevents you from settling, that keeps you moving, that gives you this pulse. And there's so much power to that. Now, this makes me appreciate trauma even more right now. Because on the one hand, we can regard it as, it can give people entitlement to victimhood, kind of paralyzing them. But if you're over that, and you're in touch with that deeply rooted thing, oh, it might be a super vehicle, a rocket, spaceship. Whenever you're ready, whenever you rebel, you're starting from very high ground in life. Specifically in intensity of life experience and fulfillment with life, and what you demand of life. Or as you say, it can, or as you they it can kill the spark too. Say yes. My mother used to say my trauma would give me character. Well, that's common folk. I mean, you see, consciously traumatizing someone, knowing what you're doing, and crafting something in a human. Now that's weird, but again, a lot of people, they treat kids as toys. For a lot of people, kids are toys. Which I don't know if it's abnormal or normal, I don't know. It's something to experiment with, and people have different understanding of that. Can't really give any assessment to this behavior. To be saying that it will give character. Surely it will form some character. It will form some conflict inside. If character is having internal conflict, which trauma often brings, okay, it's all semantics, how we define that. What is character? Is character resilience? Is character patience? Is character being able to endure slavery? Is character being able to live in unfavorable condition, which is slavery, without resisting or ever trying to come out of them? Is character your ability to come out of that eventually? Because the danger of trauma is that it suppresses humans' ability to act It creates super high demand for self on the one hand, and at the same time debilitates a human. So there is no mismatch between the resource and ability and skill and the demand. So it becomes a dysfunctional system after all. If that conflict, if this tension, if this obstacle is a character, well, sure. In some world, for some people, it can be social engineered, which is a scary thing, to make the super soldier by subjecting kids to severe trauma. Some make it, some don't because they don't have the right spark. But that's just evil. But which is that what part of my book includes? Hippocrates is flashing. Flashing books. Literature achievements. I have a book on Gates of Hell will be unleashed on me if I release it. Doomsday weapon locally. Oh. We're all intrigued now, Hippocrates. Every live stream we're going to ask you where it is and how we can read it and where we can find it when it's going to be published. To make the super soldier, yeah. I unfortunately don't have a hard copy, it's all on my phone, but Wilhelm Reich, wonderful book that I'm reading on how to repress children, how society instructs to repress children such that they become obedient and such that they can keep propagating the authoritative regimes. Exactly that. How kids are being separated from their bodies, how kids are being prohibited sexual development, how they are being seeded with internal conflict with their physicality. And that is the fundamental thing that almost every Western child is subjected to. That creates compliance in character. And also achiever mindset. Achiever for the sake of being valued, for the sake of being appreciated as a function. And that paves the path to a human not being able to live a happy, complete, fulfilling life. That's the premise. You'd have to dye your ginger hair and swim across a wee bit of water. What it turns our head plot to do. My dog was distracting me. What? How you know my hair not ginger? Oops. Do you think there's a message in this book worth everyone knowing? Is it a question to Hippocrates? Ты пришел на работу, моя птичка. Моя ты лапушка, ты мой сладенький. Ты пришел поработать сейчас. Мой любимый пончик. Ты пришел поработать, мой пупсик, мой колосенький. My dog favors the ukulele over the guitar. Couldn't change his mind. Боже мой сладенький пришел. Мой сладенький пришел. Мой маленький мальчик. Мой маленький мальчик. Отсюда, любимый. Ты проснулся, ты пришел поработать чуть-чуть. Ты чуть-чуть пришел на работу, да? Ты пришел поработать? Умничка. Моя умница. Ты моя разумница. Ты мой сладенький. Ты мой сладенький. Мой любимый. Мой самый любимейший. Мой самый сладюсенький. Мой самый маленький. Мой самый родной мальчик. Мой самый родной мальчик. Ничего, тебя все так любят. Тебя все так обожают, как комар что ли покусал? Комар покусил. Ну какой гадкий комар. Мы все этих комаров поубиваем, да мы всех попиловим. Мы все шлопнем об стену. Да, чтобы все эти комары попередохли, да. Кого-то укусают после стрижки. Ну, а короткие волосики подстригли, и все теперь. Комары кусаются. Ну, сладенький. Ну, любимый. Мой самый любимый мальчик. Ух ты, сколько. Что, ты куда пошел? Нервная кузнечка. Thank you so much, Кюрка. Thank you, everyone. Кузенька, тебе нэп прислали. Ух ты ж, тебе прислали приз. Ух ты ж. Где приз? Что там? Ух ты ж. Кузенька, тебе прислали приз? Да, тебе прислали приз? Ух ты. Kiva, your gift was very much appreciated. My dog sends a snore to you, nice. Thank you so much. He knows word gift. And when I start saying stuff like, oh, he also responds. So, because it usually signifies that something really exciting is happening. Что там пищишь? Скоро пойдем, Даня. I was actually curious about it. Yeah, this is super cool. Thank you so much, Wayne. Кузька, тут еще призы раздают. Иди сюда, бегом. Иди сюда, скорее смотри призы еще. Иди сюда. Иди сюда, мой хороший. Иди сюда, скорее смотреть приз. Пойдем приз смотреть. Или тебя интересуют только съестные призы? Ну-ка, иди сюда. Иди сюда, дорогой же. Мой хороший. Иди на ручки скорее. Нет? Я сейчас игрушку возьму. Все, я буду с твоей игрушкой теперь на ручках сидеть. Это что, не игрушка твоя? Все. Да. Где? Диана, хорошая. Ну давай, ты же прыгучий, давай запрыгивай. Да. Grinch, without the hat already. He bit it off. Ну, так. Вот она твоя игрушка такая. You let your dog chew on a green chip. Half and half. I'm attached to this baby, but I want to kind of want to do a review or do some more work. I want to keep this guy. Let's see. Let's return back to substance. This baby will be the symbol of this talk today. Half Irish, half Scottish. That's easy to memorize. Yeah, this is super cool. Kind of colored chat. This is super cool, Bob. Returning to the topic of love languages, by the way. Returning to the topic. Today we had languages of love. Languages of love. I believe this is review time. Kiva, I'm listening to my thoughts right now to see. I think there is something loading, some new information. But if it's a false alarm, then it's gonna be a review. Last two, Jeff says. So let's talk about actually how to practice right now. Whether you have partner or not, you always have yourself, ultimately. You always have yourself, you have your environment, you have pets, you have plants, you have your food even. Anything. Review isn't for me. Madam, I'm looking at my notes. Sure. You always have yourself. And that's where you can start doing the magic. You can ask yourself, how do I talk to myself? To or about myself. How do I talk to or about myself? There, you can even, if the concept of loving oneself sounds too cheesy, too like out there, you can think about it from the perspective of self-respect. Is my self-talk, if not loving, but respectful? When I characterize myself, do I diminish myself? Would I settle If some person that I would find affectionate attraction to, if that person spoke to me in these terms, would I settle for that? Or would I feel weird? So this is the first thing. Replace words that are offensive, diminishing, insulting with words that are at least respectful or loving. What are the words that you would want to hear about yourself by a person who sees the best in you? The best, wonderful person who would totally love you, who would totally see you for who you are. What would they be saying? Would they be saying a lot of words of criticism in like some diminishing way? Or would they be saying even criticism if you want to kind of critically assess your work, for instance, or your activities? What language would this person use? You can come up with the image of this ideal supreme lover that we worked on in our very first workshop, and let them in meditation speak to you. What words would they be saying in your union? What comes out of a person who embodies the best qualities that you want to nurture? What do they radiate verbally? Then scan for tension and gestures, posture, etc. Feel himself. This is the second thing. Where in your movements are you not authentic? Where in your body language you are not authentic? Where you are not adequate with the role that you want to portray? Where you are not adequate with the situation? Or converse thing, where your interpretation of the situation is skewed, where your body responds defensively. Why? Scan for that. Analyze this aspect. So we go and we do this ideal lover meditation. If you cannot do this thing by yourself with just using your internal talk, and let them speak the words that you want. What words communicate care? What words communicate your growth? What words communicate your peace? What words communicate your comfort? What words communicate your beauty? Let that infiltrate your mind. And then here also on the first point, an important thing. Let's get rid of the language that uses body parts as offense. It carries a very important value into an integration of the entire body, such that there is no dirty, filthy, vulgar, gross, bad, sinful body parts that represent disgusting behavior in a person. Let's integrate that by removing this lingo that correlates of putting behavior and body parts. Let's purify that area such that we don't have the barrier between inside of our perception of ourselves and we can get recollected fully without feeling something negative towards some body parts. Because we cannot achieve bliss, we cannot achieve this loving purity inside of intimacy, inside of our physical life, if we have skewed notion of that. More Hippocrates. I agree with you on that. Then, hygiene of thoughts. It's not that we need to become neurotic, inherently neurotic about our speech. It starts with the overall hygiene. My thoughts. Why do I think certain things? Why is my thought space, why in my thought space prevail some thoughts that criticize people, that criticize myself, that criticize the world? What if I try playing with changing, criticizing, deprecating thoughts with something good? What if I read my predominant negative, dark perception of myself, world, people? What if I read it as an evidence that I perhaps might want to change something about how I feel about the world? Make it a trigger. Negative thoughts, triggers. What if we use negative thoughts as triggers that trigger function? When negative thought arises, I read it as, let's find some opposite thing. Let's find some beautiful thing. Let's think about my desired thing. Let's think about what I want in life. Let me return to my prior commitment to my path. So this is what this trigger can be for. Something that we love, something that's super beautiful, something that's my path. Let negative stuff be triggers. We just bring awareness to that. We let them happen, but we use them as triggers. Yes, I think about that. What a garbage weather. I absolutely hate this rain, and that the car just splashed water over my clothes. The day is absolute shit. But I'm also thinking that, okay, there's wonderful, wonderful something, in that on my path I have this idea, this wonderful, beautiful idea. And I super love chocolate ice cream. And in fact, I will get myself chocolate ice cream after this. So, this is how we work with that. We're not prohibiting ourselves negative emotion, negative triggers, negative thoughts. We're using them. So that's another one from mental mind hygiene. This is how we work. We expand our domain. Remember how we work in Tantra. We take something, we take some domain. Like for example, we have domain in which we have this dominant, unpleasant phenomenon or some thought. In Tantra, we're not trying to, no matter what, prohibit our mind to have it. Because it's the only thing that it's very well familiar to. It's home for my mind. If I remove it, it will be void. No, we do the following. We grow our domain and we fill it with a bunch of different things. And now this thing has its space, but so are other things. And thus we're preventing this neurosis, the fear, attachment that my last toy is going to be gone. No, we're growing the domain. We're relaxing, we're learning to diffuse. So that's something that we can do right away. Hope the concept of trigger is clear. I do this trigger stuff all the time. It became my habit. Super mega tool. I love it so much. All my vices that I identify something that starts being this unpleasant thing in my mind, I just start converting into some productive action or productive thinking. Productive being, okay, what can I change about it? Why does it bother me? What can I improve? Maybe I need to just devote time to something that I was meant to instead. So everything becomes fuel in Tantra. We grow peaches on crack. Then, with body, by the way, with physical touch. Whoa. With physical touch. I really encourage you to perform some tantric meditation in which you are connecting to your body, visual space, and movement. Wonderful thing. Physical touch. You can do meditations with your supreme lover, and you can adorn your body, yourself, with a touch from that supreme lover. The supreme lover who sees you fully, who knows you fully, who loves you fully, who wishes the best upon you, and who is insanely gifted with love. So with physical work, we can do meditation, movement, touch, visual meditation of the supreme lover. Just listen to what your body will be communicating to you when you are in the field of that supreme lover. When you are contemplating this presence, when you are in this presence, be the hands of that supreme lover inside of the meditation such that you are fully in this process. Then another thing, why not bring awareness even to some mundane things? Food, sleep arrangements, movement, hygiene. Why not boost it up? Why not bring more pleasure? Maybe you absolutely hate the flavor of your toothpaste and you would want to try different flavor of toothpaste. And that will improve 5 minutes of your life. That will improve your experience. 5 minutes of your life which you're dedicating to self-care. Maybe that little thing will be something that you crave physically. That will be giving, honoring your body. This physical touch will be that language of love to your body. Maybe you absolutely want, it's summertime, maybe you want cooling silky pillowcase. They're not expensive. One side of silk, you can get it, it cools off, it's very refreshing and super pleasant to touch. Why not? Maybe you are wearing some tight lace, synthetic lace underwear that is just, you adapt to it, but it's still unpleasant. After it's off, you feel much better. Maybe it's time to buy nice, comfortable underwear, and this will be the way you can honor your body right now. Will be language of love to your body. Maybe you've been suffering in tight shoes with this super tight nose. Is it really necessary? Or maybe there is shoes that fit you. Can we email you about the workshop? Nice, yes, Hannah. Absolutely. Sometimes I think I'm going insane on this channel. Seriously, so many things got my logic crying. For example, I'm curious. What's wrong? What else can we do with physical? Self massages, even, are very wonderful. So, and another thing, by the way, here with physical, image of the body as well. There could be practices that you can curate to yourself where you are deliberately working with how you perceive your body, combining your thoughts about your body and your physical perception. I mean, a lot of people, they pick on certain body parts that they have. They look at some standard and they're like, holy, compare themselves with something, and they kind of block the relationship with certain body parts that they have because they have some concept about them all of a sudden. And that removal of that, connecting the thoughts with physical relationship with the body, might also be the step to incorporate in your life even if you don't have any partner. And if you have a partner, you do all of that and you expand that to your beautiful garden. Stats, another day, Neister. Sure. I'll respect your timeline. I think this counts as a review because it kind of brings it to more productive play. The fact that we even got through that, through this workshop, through this live stream, and the fact that we covered that we reminded ourselves of these tools, is already a huge step up in this direction into cultivating more beautiful context of life. Because these thoughts, they will be circulating now. These thoughts will be kind of coming up and from time to time at least, even if you don't execute on anything from this list. But from now on, something will be reminding you to cultivate love. Languages that we do have at our disposal. Guys are getting cute in the chat. Okay, bye bye, baby. This is the baby that you named Patrick, I think. For some reason. So, conclusion. Conclusion. I really loved this stream today. Really loved it. Because, bye bye, Patrick. I feel like we're going to be able to recreate him because he's kind of my alter ego. I really love this live stream. I really loved my last night today and talking about this, immersing in this topic, reinforcing this topic. It's kind of less academic in nature, but it's so humane, so relatable, and so beautiful, so inspiring. This is where we can start creating. I feel like when we think about love, love is kind of outwards. Love is something we create. It's a force. It's a space. It's environment. So that's already the movement towards this interpersonal, bigger creation. And this is where this beautiful garden starts being painted. And when people, more and more people, exercise this attitude, this behavior, feel like the community where it will be cultivated will be a very pleasant space, giving people gradually, healing them from the need to find purpose in life, healing them from fakeness, bringing them more authenticity and joy in life. So that's kind of the framework for which this whole tantric thing is created, in my opinion. And I really love it. I feel a lot of energy in it. I feel a lot of fulfillment and satisfaction in it as well. This is the space where pleasure is born, where ability to share pleasure is born as well. And again, it incentivizes all of this preparational work and glues everything together, I think. Because that's the domain where we understand where our resource is so valuable and how we can cultivate it as much as possible. Kiurka, great. Question, Nastya, question. Something bugging me which tied into what you said earlier about sexual offenses and verbal. Yes, sure, question. Wonderful. I've got the Grinch. Yes, it was. I just wrote it as yes. This note was yes. It was a thought that I initially wanted to just make a short video on that. It was not necessarily related to languages of love. I thought about languages of love later because it was kind of tied to that. I wanted to expand into a bigger topic. Initially, I wanted to just have it on the board to make a short, such that I don't need to carry it in my head. But I don't buy into the format of shorts. I don't know, it never lived with me. I tried doing them, I had this streak when I was doing short videos, but I never could make short videos because I was lacking context. I started off with short videos on Tantra. I realized that I don't have foundation such that people don't know who I am, they don't know the context of anything. And they just see short videos where I need to cram a bunch of information on some standalone topic, so I just was a misfit format, I guess. Maybe I'll return to that. But yeah, it was a short idea. How is the garden? Wayne is asking. My garden is thousands of miles away. All Kiva is with flowers. Thank you so much, Kiushka. Guys are having fun. Ну-ка, игрушку принеси. Ага. Пастушка моя. Let's think what we're going to discuss in the next stream. Kind of feel like doing actually following. Yes, Kivushka, by the way, you were holding on to something. So I really want to make another creative stream where I'm either painting or sewing. With sewing, however, if I'm doing patterning and sewing simultaneously or cutting and sewing, there will be a lot of moving. And I will probably do it during the daylight, so which will be late for or early for Americas. But painting, on the other hand, can be totally done. I have the idea. What inspires me is not little like small scale paintings. I really want to have a mural. I want to make a mural on the wall. I bought a whole roll of brown paper, and it just inspires me so much. It's so inspiring. But I would need acrylic paints at least. So it's gonna be a little bit. And then I don't know if I'm gonna invest in a new set of paints or not. But I really want to paint a big scale painting on paper. Paper is appealing because unlike canvas, it doesn't stick off the wall. I don't like big, like, the canvases should be of certain size, I think, to look good on the walls. Either they need to be very big or they need to be rather small and discreet. So I would want to explore other materials for interior use specifically. At the same time, I was thinking it would be a cool background for the videos to make a mural. Like huge one, full wall coverage. At the same time, I thought that I'm usually using whiteboard, so my streams are more interesting, more interactive with the whiteboard present, more informative. Oh, Hippocrates make jewelry. New thing unlocked, new superpower unlocked. That's amazing. If I may not, then it's okay. No, Kiva, ask your question. I'm always welcoming questions. I will hold on to them, but this is another one. Sure. Hannah, I won't have bad dreams. Um, have an oriental fan from Thailand. Now my kids have me stuck in painting the picture from the fan onto the main back wall of the living room. It's so cool. Oh my god. Love wall painting so much. When you don't have any when you have, I like painting on objects, decorating objects and walls. Somehow feels so much more fulfilling than painting on a rectangle of canvas. Something about it is so much more fulfilling, I think. The Great Dome. Inselgado. Lala. Подарок или добрые слова? That's my question. I couldn't decide. Or none. Кивушка. Можно добрые слова и песню. You know, I know what time is it. Some gentle song will do, you know, because it's already 1:11 at my place. So you have another option now. If you can decide, it could be a song. But again, something quiet. No singing needed, madam. It's Uncle Buddy with a rocket. Woo! Подарок with the point in the front. Hanu Lucy. Floral arrangements. I've pronounced it Badarik. That's the magic of having English speaking or foreign language speaking husbands who try to learn Russian. You just don't tell them certain things to keep enjoying the mispronunciation. That is the cutest. Oh, thank you so much, Hannah. Kivushka, my dear, continue the garden flowers, please. My ex is English translator. Woohoo! Зайчка моя. Пригозник мой. She did that for deliberately. I don't know. Would be curious to hear you say that, and I will assess it on the scale from 1 to 10 on cuteness, and if it was 10 out of 10 cuteness, then it probably was worth it. Madam, reading will be just fine, okay? More rockets. Oh, Uncle Buddy, thank you so much. Hippocrates flexes his age. Again. Love you, nice to love you too, Hannah. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone, guys. By the way, today was such a cozy, cool live stream. I love it. Thank you so much for flowers. And, by the way, today I bought oolong tea. It was labeled as oolong. And I noticed not any flavor beyond just bare black tea. Granted that oolong that was supposed to cost like probably $20 was $2. So maybe it was just absolutely cheaply scammed. I was looking forward to some interesting flavor, but it's just good old black tea that you can get from any brand. Hippocrates, thank you so much as well. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Does anyone know why people like soccer? Why? Great, Tom. Thank you so much, Киюшка. Настя, дорогая, оставайтесь такой же жизнерадостной, оптимистичной, веселой и счастливой. Обладая такой доброй душой и глубокой страстью к своему делу, вы не должны терять улыбку. Спасибо большое, Киюшка. Support, I love it, Киюшка. Да, это прекрасно. Я вас очень люблю. Это большое удовольствие. Thank you so much, Kiva. Thank you so much, guys. Let's make a pact after this live stream to actually do some things from these insights, basically to enact them in practice, because it's just so worth it. It's just so cool. Such a different quality of life, for sure. Ух, еще подарок, Юшка. Теперь от любви не уйти никуда. Не уйти никуда, любовь никогда не бывает без грусти. Но это приятнее, чем грусть без любви. Это песня из кинофильма «Сердца четырех». Был такой хороший фильм о любви. А стрим у нас о чем? Тоже про любовь. А я думаю сейчас какая-то песня. Сейчас. Я не припомню. В фильме я такое слышала. Я не помню, смотрела ли я его. Мне пришла почему-то в голову песня «Нельзя любви, земной любви пылать без конца». А вот эту песню я не могу припомнить. Спасибо большое за подарок, Ивушка, и за красивые слова. Теперь у нас есть песня, посвященная нашему стриму. Наконец-то мы что-то такое сделали более... Спасибо большое за for reinforcing that with some poetry. What do I mean exactly, Hippocrates? Hello, Paxton there. How are you? I hope she marries you, Kiva. You're a great assistant. Um, about carrying out the actual tasks. I mean exactly that we infuse our world with more tangible facets and actions of love. That's what I mean. Because again, it's worthy to be reminded of that. The world and distractions do everything to distract us from that. Some mundane events. But when I know exactly what to do, it's very easy to incorporate. And little by little, it starts changing the overall picture of life. Thank you for being there, Kivushka. Thank you too. Thank you for цветочки, for flowers, Hannah. Thank you all. And workshop on tomorrow. No, it's on Saturday. Kivushka, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Would it be easier if I just do Saturday? Okay, I'm putting it into my calendar. Would it be easier if I just put it on my website for registration? But I have to do it through the website. I do it through the website, so you can just see it and register on my website. I will put it up tomorrow morning, probably, to create links. But see, you're that magnetic and I'm that receptive to sound. Your trixing is hypnotic to me, so absorb it and manifests subconsciously anyways. Trixing. I will be trixing now. Trixing. Wow, that's cool, Hippocrates. That's amazing. We actually, yeah. I think if we gather like all the time, we kind of create a culture, because if it's like frequent enough, just create some background thing, which makes me even more inspired to keep purifying the energy that I convey, because that will help to lighten up the space that we create, such that there is some progression, there's development. Да, мой сладкий. Иди сюда, мы сейчас пойдем гулять, да? Да, мой сладкий. That song just came to mind, and I was singing it to my dog earlier. I should listen to it. I will. I sing to my dog too. He doesn't like it as much as he used to. I've either got worse or he's got standards now. plate. Curator. Curator. Do curator. Definitely scented madam. It's lovely. I believe so. I'm pretty sure it is. Кусь, ты чё? Ты какую-то гадость съел? Кусь. I'll ask my stepbrother for some rationette to do my homework. My dog knows the routine music room to garden or garden to music room. That's so lovely. Oh my god. And best of all, he picks the instrument. It's amazing. Had some thought. Ah, yeah. If you guys have any ideas for the next stream, we had one new guest who wanted to talk about low self-esteem. Maybe there are some things that I could put together on that. Even though it kind of was on par with ego talk, I think. Low self-esteem. We'll see. If our new guest joins next time, we'll talk about that probably. But, let me see my notes. Should digitize my notebook sometime. Oh my god. After Languages of Love, there goes chapter on the craziest chapter on tantric sex. We'll keep that for the workshops, probably. Conduit of energy and light. Wowie! Oh, physics and motion. It's 20 past midnight and 1. I'm just home. I played a gig tonight. My doors are open to the summer rain. Lovely lamp lunch. That's so cool. I absolutely love windows open and the rain. It's amazing. After this, I need to continue my experiment project I'm working on. Intrigued. Girl. Girl. Or did he cringe? Made lots of notes on it. My goal is to solve it before the workshop. I'm very curious. Not sure how I got here. Lovely lamb lunch. I'm Tantra coach, Tantra therapist. I'm almost ending my workshop not workshop, live stream right now. And I'm streaming several times a week. I guess if you're in the UK, around 8-9 p.m. I start. You're welcome to join. We're discussing different interesting things. Are you guys friend or foe? Are you friend or foe? Da-da-ba-da-bum. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Yeah, it's 1:30, yes. Bring yourself to the moment, man. Woohoo. I'm a stand-up, well, Lamb Lunch is a stand-up comedian. Well, you can create some content probably if you attend my streams. Like, for sure you can. Kiushka, thank you so much. Hippocrates is, cannot get over the fact that padarki are padarki. No, lovely lamb lunch. Um, Padarki, it's Russian. I'm Russian originally. My native language is Russian. So we have some insider stuff from because a lot of my audience they have experience with Russian. Either they speak Russian as the first or second language, or somehow interfaced with that. Basically, people have some. Sometimes they have some touch with Russian. I can't believe she let me pronounce it wrong for 22. Hannah, thank you so much. I thought it was from the same origin as Bojidar. Bojidar is a gift from God. Just the amplitude, of everything. Of everything. Bojidar in 22 years. Ah, oh my god. Oh my god, I love the notes from. There's so much poetry to them. By the way, guys, would you be more down for more metaphysics, more poetry, or do you like the way we have been approaching the topics? Was just this more or less dry, very calculated approach? Would you like more poetry? Thank you, ladies. Because I can make things dreamy. Remember how Batapa was really said that we don't do soul here, so to speak. Because we can surely add some room, or we do surely do have room for talking about things that are not rigorous but that can be perceived, that can use more metaphysical language, we can surely do that. I just have a habit of approaching things with rigor. That implies doubt, that implies using careful language, but at the same time it limits, it's in a sense limiting, in some sense, it's limiting approach. Because it makes things that are felt, things that are more experiential, seem like less sturdy. But sometimes there is such a calling for more poetry and art in all of these pursuits. At the same time, I thought just today, when I'm in the practice, I create what is felt like art. It's an act of creation of art. And if it is shared with someone, if it's a shared experience of specifically going through the practices, some more elaborate practices, more imaginative practices, it is a collective performance in a sense, collective immersive performance, which is, just by genre, it is art, just creation of art. There's surely room for that. But whether we need to talk about those artistic experiences or whether we should cover the basis and then focus on experiencing things in the workshops, for instance, that's something that I want to contemplate, because I feel the calling for more flowy things. I feel the calling, with the energy goes there, which means that it should be done. So maybe we'll do it. So that's the answer. Thank you. Lovely Lamb Lunch, sure, you should subscribe, yes. There's no beauty without decay. That's a question above my head, Nice Tale. I talk in poetry, which doesn't go down well in society. Nobody knows what the frig I'm talking about. Maybe it's the sound attached to the words. Sometimes perestroika. Anyway, I have to go. Perestroika is what again? New. Lovely Lamb Lunch. We'll see you on the next streams. Thank you, Kirk, so much for beauty and for beautiful colors. And Hannah, thank you as well for beautiful flowers. And on this note, I guess we're going to finish our stream. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Kiushka. Yes. See you all. We've plenty of time till weekend. Bye-bye. I love you too. Да, собака, мы сейчас идем гулять. I'm gonna go.